Welcome back to One Piece Anime Re-Review, Part 12. This I'm viewing the Rainbow Mist arc. Though the thing is, the Wikipedia for this arc as the Reluca Island arc. Wikipedia refers this arc as On the Road. I've referred to this one as the Rainbow Mist arc because that's the central plot point here. This arc starts off pretty much the same way the Goat Island arc started off, with the Straw Hats being attacked by the Marines, and one of the Marine admirals decides to use this, oh yeah, you should use your special ability to stop the Straw Hats. Little flick he does, which he does with a special coin, which instead of aiming for the Straw Hats, he aims for one of his ships. The reason for this, he says, oh yeah, don't interfere with history. This comes to play later on. And this is something, though, because in the last arc, the Marine who was basically the main Marine for the entire arc was basically a greedy person. This guy is actually quite nice. And there's a woman with him. They don't explain who these two admirals are. They don't reveal those until the very last episode of the arc. Then the Straw Hats pretty much arrive at an island, and as soon as they get there, they're confronted by a tax collector, which is quite strange. Yeah, in case you're wondering, do any other time in the canon stuff, do they have to come across a tax collector, someone paying money? Once. They did this in Skypiea, which is the second and next arc after this one. After that, the only arc I could possibly think of they did this with was probably Fishman Island, but that's it. Yep, and same tax, Luffy just runs off. This is introduced to Hanzo, who is voiced by Bruce Elliott. I know it's Bruce Elliott because this is his voice. It's actually one of 3 characters he's voiced in the series. He first voiced a doctor in the Arlong Park arc, and here he voices another kind of doctor, basically a scientist. But his best character has not made his debut yet. What character is that? Whitebeard. Yep, he voices Whitebeard, who doesn't appear till later. The Whitebeard is an integral part of the Marineford arc, which I'll get to talk about the arc at a later date. So, they plow right through, and of course Hanzo and Robin and Usopp just talk and have basically Usopp run out of money. Yeah, this doesn't go much anywhere, especially next arc. Doesn't even mention the fact he's broke. All because of the money. They pay for eating a big plate of spaghetti. Yeah, apparently there's a tax, not only for eating that, but also... person collecting taxes is the mayor's son. His name is Philip. And... and apparently there's a tax for drinking alcohol. Yeah, these taxes are utterly ridiculous. And the Straw Hats are right to say, yeah, we're not paying these taxes due to the fact they're utterly stupid. Yeah, and the mayor himself, when you see him, he creates taxes on a whim just to get more money. The reason? So he can get inside the Rainbow Mist to rob of all of his treasure. That's pretty much his goal. When you see him, he basically doesn't move around very much because he's so old. And apparently he's been in town for 50 years. Yeah, and it turns out the mayor is actually the captain of the pirate ship that tried to raid and loot the frickin' town. He even tried to burn down the frickin' town. Like, how does it make sense that a pirate captain becomes the mayor of a town? And honestly, this makes no frickin' sense at all. And as far as I know, it has never been explained. Because this pirate does not appear again. The admirals will appear after this. Oh yeah, the 2 admirals for this arc, they actually returned for Marineford. I am not kidding. They actually these two characters in. Probably because people like them so much that maybe because not only the fans of the show like him very much, probably also the animation team like these characters, so they have them return for Marineford, which is interesting. So we now have the Rainbow Mist. First we have everything's hunky dory, and all of a sudden a giant galleon shows up, and it turns out it's actually the mayor's ship. Yep. And apparently the wheel is destroyed. And then they use the Going Merry. They go inside the mist. Now, basically, on the Going Merry, just Hanzo, Luffy, Usopp, Robin, and Zoro, who has been taking a nap. Yeah, that's what he does a lot of the time. Even canon and stuff, he just spends a lot of time sleeping on deck. He doesn't do pretty much anything except when it comes to fighting. And they get inside of the mist, and basically Hondo his goal was to rescue his friends, and he gets to see him again, but they're still young. Yeah, it's something they explain here. It's something the space-time continuum, and this is something interesting though. This arc had building since Nami found books about the Rare Mist in Alabasta, and Robin's been reading it for pretty much the last several episodes. And apparently, that's where Usopp basically first heard of it. Luffy has never heard of the Rare Mist before, which is not surprising because he's never heard of a lot of this stuff. And they get inside the mist. Oh yeah, and also, there's actually one of the pirates actually still on board. It's shown in a flashback. The Pumpkin Pirates actually had to move the ship outside of the town in order to sink it, because they're trying to protect the town. But the cat gets back on board, though he gets knocked off. Though apparently they forgot to notice there was a raid captain on board. Yeah, one of his crew members was still on board the ship, so the ship itself basically was sent along with the Pumpkin Pirates, minus Henzo, who was actually Pumpkin Pirates himself, sent the Rare Mist, and stuck there for 50 years, and he basically spent his whole time researching it. And I'm thinking, okay, I get the fact he's probably getting research money to get food and pay, but apparently he never had an assistant, and he apparently never found himself a girlfriend in 50 years. Man, oh man, you must live a bachelor life, man. I mean, he looks like he's probably in his 60s. The mayor looks like he's probably in his 80s or 90s. Philip looks like he's probably in his 60s. Yeah, probably 60s. His grandson, I don't remember. Yeah, his grandson, when he shows up in the episode. Oh yeah, a lot of the time in the episode, Nami has no idea about what the heck is going on. Nami, Sanji, and Chopper. What were they doing? They went shopping. Yep, they went shopping. Yeah, and what happened to the bags? They probably went back on the Straw Hat ship afterwards. I don't know what Nami got in those bags, but she must have got something. So, pretty much, yeah, they go on the Rare Mist, they find a bunch of treasure, and thanks to Nami taking some support things to basically go inside, and one of the crew members come back, and he thinks that the mayor's grandson is in fact the captain because of the striking resemblance. And the mayor's like, really? He looks like me? Wow, that's something. I would think though, because he's freaking grandson. By the way, this is nothing unusual in anime to have this, where someone's son or grandson looks like them. Yeah, it's nothing unusual. I mean, look at, let's say, Naruto himself. Physically, he looks like his father, but have his mother's personality. It's the same thing with Boruto. Looks like his father, and kind of a little bit of his mother's personality. So it's very similar. And his sister is a spitting image of his mother. That's basically him, Laura's spitting image of Hina. So it's very similar. And a lot of the time, this is nothing usual in anime. It's very traditional that Japanese would depict this. Heck, I know somebody from my church, basically, where his son is a spitting image of him. He looks like he's about the younger version of him. So it even happens in real life, too. So it was nothing unusual there. And by the way, did the Pumpkin Pirates, the young kids, did they actually escape from the mist? They do. But they ended up basically, how they got was quite interesting. So Nami gets on board. They kind of briefly introduce her. Also, the lead Pumpkin Pirates is not trusting of adults at all. Yeah, the way these kids are, they kind of remind me of the Losers Club from It and the Goonies. Yeah, it's like that these characters are based upon those two group of characters from the It miniseries and, of course, It. Well, this is before probably the It miniseries, and of course the Goonies, because the whole pirate aspect. Yeah, and the fact that, well, they had one girl in the group. Now, the Goonies, the main group of kids, had no girls at all. The Losers Club did. Oh, yeah. Oh, and here's something interesting to know. The girl had no romantic attachment to any member of the Pumpkin Pirates. Yeah, none. There was no mention of it at all, and we barely get these kids' backstory at all. It's like, oh, they just have become pumpkin pirates. Okay. Oh, and by the way, Henzo is basically an inventor. Yeah. So, then of course the admiral himself shows up, who actually is later to be the lead of the pumpkin pirates. Yeah, he actually is. How he got this way? Well, he and his group, I'll explain basically. It actually deals with basically what happens in the final episode of this arc. So, at the finally trusting the Straw Hats and Luffy spending time with him, they go to trust him. Of course, they get out and they go back in, and then they try to get the Straw Hat ship out. They get the Going Merry out, and how they get it out? Blowing up a marine ship. Now, the Pumpkin Pirates, Mai and Tenzo, end up back in the past, which is where they belong. The Straw Hats end up in the present. Oh, and the mayor, because of the fact he away the one side of the mist, he basically lowers the Rainbow Tower. This is something that popped up in the first episode of the arc. Yeah, apparently this tower can actually lean down and have boats go inside, and he pretty much loot the thing dry. And he decided to just abandon his own men, because he's that damn greedy. He bans his son and grandson over this, just so he can become rich. Yeah, he can't even leave it to his own family. Yeah, and by the way, the character Philip, no idea who his mother is, and it's kind of the same thing with his own son. Like, who is his son's mother? Never explained. And at first, the lead Pumpkin Pirates actually have Henzo working with the leader of the pirates who actually attacked their town. But he said he has no choice in the matter, and all the Straw Hats believe him. Everybody else believes Lorenzo is not exactly fully trusting. It takes a while, but he does finally trust people. And so, when everything got back to normal thanks to the explosion, all the Pumpkin Pirates decided to enlist in the Marines. And apparently it took 50 years to get to where they are right now, in order to go back to town to arrest all the pirates. But in exchange for helping them take down these particular pirates, they'll let the Straw Hats go. Yep. And they, as for the treasure, well, that stays with the world government, and the treasure itself is never mentioned again in the series. Nami may have kept some treasure on board, but yeah, nothing much to mention of it. But as for, with the exception of two admirals, all the rest of the characters pop up in this arc, never appear in the series again. This was a interesting arc per se. It's like this arc was very much heavily inspired by the film The Goonies. Yeah, it's very heavily inspired by that. We're taking a little bit of inspiration from It. Well, mainly with the group of kids being the group of... Oh yeah, one thing that I think that I took from the miniseries It, and it was the scene where they all jump down and they look like they're underwear and they all do swimming. Yeah, they did this also in the miniseries as well as kids. So they must take inspiration from that. It's like they take elements from that plus the Goonies and combine it to one. The only difference is in the Goonies, they actually kept the treasure. In the show, the Marines took the treasure. And the pirates themselves were taken. Oh, and also the mayor's mansion, which... Okay, I'm not surprised he had the mansion, but where it was, like, okay. So, apparently, because the mansion was there, and apparently the very missed, when the Straw Hat ship got out, it basically was, like, it opened up on top of the island, which allowed it to fly down to the ocean. As for why in the world it took the mansion, no idea. It's never explained of exactly why they took the mansion. Yeah. All in all, pretty interesting arc. And next arc, back to canon stuff, because like in most filler, it's never mentioned again. Next arc is the Jaya arc, which I'll probably start watching tomorrow, along with doing a review. As for videos tomorrow, I'm only planning on doing about one video tomorrow I can think of, and that's just Black Clover, because I don't know if I'll get done the Jaya arc tomorrow. If I do, it'd be something. Otherwise, though, basically, Black Clover probably the only video I'll probably do tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, that's it for Single View, and that's it for Video Steak, because it's getting kind of late. So, until we see you tomorrow for Black Clover, bye.